Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Bullony Basketball. As you can see, I'm here with a very special guest and my friend for many years. Goes by Theia on YouTube. How you doing, bro?
Up, man? How's it going?
Doing pretty good. And I figured we could talk about the second round of the NBA playoffs. As you can see, I'm holding my mic. It's kind of uncomfortable for my mic stand. We also have pretty much video technical difficulties right now. So it is what it is. But, we could start. We'll run through each series, kind of give our thoughts on them, and then I'll have a few questions for you at the end. But we'll start with the best record in the NBA, the 1 seed Phoenix Suns, 4 seed Dallas Mavericks. We just saw this game end. Like, we're literally recording this like right after it. And, man, they got swamped in game 7.
It was bad.
Yeah. So, I mean, tell me, what are your thoughts on the game and really like for the entire series? What do you think?
I mean, this was a really good series, in my opinion. I was pretty biased. I wanted the Mavs to win the entire time, but it's been like a really constant thing between all these series that like it's been either a blowout or it's like a close game kind of. But it's yeah, this series was really good. Mavs won. Let's go. Uh, Last game kind of disappointing though because they it was not competitive whatsoever. Luka just popped off. So, I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah, honestly, like all the games, you were right. Like all the games were not competitive. I think the game one, it was really like what a 5 point game by the end, but the Suns were up
Yeah.
like 24, I think, at one point of that game, and then like the Mavs kind of just came back when it didn't really matter. But yeah, game 7, I did not expect it to go like that. I've been pretty critical in the past of guys like Chris Paul, especially, but even I didn't think he'd play that bad like tonight. It seemed like he wasn't even looking for a shot. And that's kind of been the theme for the Suns all year is that like he won't look to shoot until the fourth quarter. And then like obviously if he's only looking to score like in one quarter, teams aren't going to hardly pay attention to him until that time comes. Tonight it really didn't matter because they were already up like 42 going into
Yeah.
the last quarter. So it's like, all right, like go ahead CP3, get your points. It doesn't matter. Um,
It
Booker
was like it was like
was
a 50-point lead in
yeah.
the at the end there.
They were up what like 40. I think they were up like 47 at one point or something. I don't even know, but I didn't expect. I honestly thought this would be a sweep or a Suns win in 5, and I think honestly, the Suns were playing against themselves a little bit more because I think they had all the control in this series. It was just a matter of are they going to take advantage of it, and they didn't. The Suns or the Mavericks did. Tonight, I think I saw Luka, Brunson, and Dinwiddie all combined for 89 points, and the Suns scored
Jesus.
90. They basically
Yeah.
played just as good as the whole Suns team, and then factoring guys like Kleber or Finney Smith or Bullock or whoever, like it was just bad. But
It was terrible.
like what do you think? What do you think's gonna happen for the Suns?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, they still haven't given Andre like the max contract that he like deserved, which I thought was really weird. So I don't know. He might low key be gone
Yeah, I
after this.
I think all their centers are free agents. So DeAndre Ayton, JaVale McGee, the Shackton legend, and then
Yeah.
Bismack Biyombo too. Like I already thought like one of them was gonna be gone, but now like who knows? Like two of them might be gone, or if they don't pay DeAndre Ayton because maybe he's like too soft or something. What do you have like tonight? 5 points or something? Like
Yeah, he didn't do much at all.
he was a non-factor. So I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't give him that money. Um, but yeah, man, it was pretty disappointing. Mavericks moving on. I know you're happy. I asked you
I'm
yesterday,
so
and you,
happy.
you said you wanted the Mavs basically to go all the way, right?
Absolutely.
I mean that's good for you. But we can move on here. We could talk a little bit about the other 1 seed in the Miami Heat and the Philadelphia 76ers. 1 and 4 seed. The Heat win in 6. Joel Embiid obviously missed the first 2 games of the series, but I think the big story here is just the collapse kind of for the Sixers on their home court in Game 6. And especially like James Harden. But like, what did you see from this series?
Um, James Harden did not come to play at all. He was supposed to be like when that whole trade BS was going on with Simmons moving to Brooklyn, Harden going to Sixers, get all these pieces moved over here, over there. It's all that crap just for him to not show up when Joel Embiid was out. Well, actually, he kind of did, but then like when he was back, he just kind of like he was very lackadaisical. Now James Harden, he's not that kind of guy to like super active on defense, but he could at least try. You know, like he didn't do much at all. It was
Yeah,
really sad to see.
yeah, it was a bad performance by Harden. I think honestly in the last game, like there was only so much that guys like Doc Rivers could do as a coach. I know he's gotten a lot of heat this year, deservingly.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I mean, obviously this is a coach that really hasn't done much in the last really his whole career, other than the 1 year he won with Boston. Like that was forever ago. You
Yeah,
know, guys like Embiid, obviously playing through a few injuries. Like he was trying. Tyrese Maxey always tries. The biggest thing though is just James Harden. Like I found it funny that in the last game that they got eliminated, he took 2 shots and he had no points in the second half. And
yeah, like
you just said, like with Ben Simmons in the last game against Atlanta last year, he took in the second half, the game 7, he took 2 shots and he had 3 points. It's basically like they traded him only for something worse, like right?
they did. They got two of the same players basically who just didn't do anything on the court.
Yeah, and I think honestly, like the thing with Harden, like even Embiid said it, like this isn't Houston Harden anymore. Like he's not looking to get his own. He's just trying to be a playmaker, facilitator. But it's like I think people thought like Harden would at least get like maybe 22 a game. Like he's not even getting that. And I would argue that
Yeah,
like at this point, Maxey is the second best player on the team. Honestly, Tobias Harris looked better than him for a lot of the series too. Um,
they did.
it was just not very good. Do you think maybe there's any excuse for Embiid not playing the first 2 games, like maybe that they could hold on to, or
No, I mean, he had to play if they wanted a chance, honestly.
yeah? I mean, I think if he played the first 2 games, then probably the Sixers win. But at the end of the day, it's like you could look at that. You could look at like in 2019 when they lost and Kawhi had that crazy shot. Like there's so many what ifs you could look at for the Sixers in the process time. But the facts of the facts is that this is the 5th year now they made the playoffs and they haven't even gotten to the third round. You know,
Yeah, it's tough.
so and in 4 of the years I think they got eliminated in the second round. So I don't know what they're gonna do. They're likely. It seems like they're gonna keep Harden. It seems like they're gonna keep Doc Rivers as a coach. So I don't know where they're gonna go from there really. But um, yeah, if you want though, we could talk about the 2-3. We'll start with the one in the West. The Grizzlies and the Warriors. This one ended a few days ago, but um, obviously John Morant got injured.
Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah, and this is a pretty chippy series because, like, I'm sure you saw Dillon Brooks was suspended for a game, really almost 2 games because he missed all but 3 minutes of game 2 when he injured Gary Payton II. Draymond got ejected in game 1, and Desmond Bane was playing hurt. So, like, I guess what are your thoughts like from this series? What do you think?
I mean, number one, that was a really good series. Let's go Warriors. Um, uh, that's just a really hard fought series. All that stuff you talked about, like that, where it's really competitive, that's bound to happen, I feel like. So it is what it is. Sucks for the Grizzlies thought that they lost like that though, because John Morant got injured like that. Uh, Lots of people were blaming Jordan Poole for that since he was kind of the one
Yeah.
who did it. Everyone was saying it was on purpose or something. I'm like, no, no, no. I don't think it was on purpose. No, I don't think it's like that.
Yeah, I mean, it did look really weird. I honestly will say like I've been watching the NBA a lot like for the past probably I don't know like decade plus, and I can say I've never seen a play like that where a guy like grabs his knee and like twists it like it's Bop It or something.
Yeah.
I mean quite literally, but I mean I think I saw like some people saying maybe he could have like damaged like some cartilage in there, but at the end of the day, I
Mhm.
don't know like how that would cause like a severe knee injury. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
maybe I really don't know how that would have, but yeah, it was definitely a tough series. I think the Grizzlies, it seemed like they were always fighting some battle, right? Like, I mean, other than maybe game one when Draymond went out and they had a golden opportunity to win, like they lose Dillon Brooks for most of game two and then all game three. And then Ja's out the rest of the series. And then like Desmond Bane's playing with a bad back. And then Steven Adams was out the first like 3 games. So really like they didn't have, I guess, like their full team hardly at all. Like for this series, they were always missing like a starter at least. But, I think that like they did compete. I think the one thing is like they're definitely not scared of the Warriors or really any team down the line. So like maybe if they get back here next year, like they're probably going to be playing the same way. Like they're not going to be scared. And then you look at the Warriors, like, you know, obviously we already know what Curry's about. We know what Clay's about. I mean, Game 6 Clay happened the other
It
day.
did.
So,
30 points.
yeah, and we know what Draymond's about. Jordan Poole has obviously stepped up in the playoffs, and then I think I was honestly a little impressed by Andrew Wiggins down the stretch of that last game, because he wasn't really doing anything, and it looked like the Grizzlies might come into Golden State and steal Game 6, and then he showed up. But yeah, like I guess so. These guys like Jordan Poole, Wiggins, Kuminga for the Warriors, like I guess what do you think like they're gonna do maybe in the next round as we're getting closer to the finals?
That's gonna be a really tough series. Um,
This is your team. You want Dallas to go all the way. Do you think that they
I
could?
do.
You think they can maybe? I mean, obviously Luka has been playing great. Brunson, Dinwiddie showed up tonight. Like, do you think that guys like Poole or Wiggins like could step up, maybe play up to their level, or like what do you think?
I think they definitely can. Those guys have showed absolute promise for this team, the Warriors. So, especially Jordan Poole. I mean, he played amazing this entire season. This has like been like his year where he's just like really just popped off. So, I feel like they'll definitely step up when they need to. But I still want my Mavs to win though. I like the Warriors, one of my favorite teams in the NBA, but I want my Mavs still to win that series.
Wait, so your favorite? Oh wait, they're one of your favorite, or they are your favorite team, the Warriors?
No, they're one of my favorite. My favorite team's the Mavs.
Okay. All right. That's fair. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, that'll be a good series, though. But all right, so I guess transitioning here to the other series that ended also today, 2-seeded Celtics, 3-seeded Bucks, also a bad Game 7. Really hasn't been a good one yet. But the Bucks, it kept going like Bucks and Celtics and Bucks and Celtics like all series long. Four away teams. There were 4 away team wins in this series, but Celtics pulled it out in Game 7 at home. So, like, what do you see? I guess what did you see from this series from them? What did you see maybe from Giannis, some of the other Bucks, and like, what do you expect from the Celtics going forward?
I expect them to keep playing with the uh, absolute competitiveness and hardness that they did against the Bucks. Come out with that win. Um, Bucks, they struggled when they didn't have Chris Middleton. I'll tell you that.
Facts.
I think they only shot like what 12% from the 3-point line that game,
Yeah.
which was really unfortunate because they don't have. I mean, Giannis starting to hit threes now, but that's not that crazy enough. They got Brook Lopez, Drew Holiday sometimes, but Middleton really was that guy hitting all those threes. Without that, mainly just a bunch of twos, so that was kind of tough for them.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's even worse, like when I think so. They hit 4 threes today, and Giannis was one of them. So,
yeah,
like, that says it all. I think I checked between Holiday, Grayson Allen, Wesley Matthews, and Pat Connaughton. Those 4 guys together, they took 18 threes, and they made 0. I mean that's gonna hurt you so much, especially when like on the other side, Grant Williams by himself took 18 threes and he made 7. And
yeah,
this isn't even like it's not even Tatum we're talking about, not even Brown, not even like Marcus Smart or Al Horford. It's Grant
yeah.
Williams, who is like a role player for them. I know he went off
He is.
the I think he went off against the Nets in one game. I think he went off earlier in this series too in a game. But you're not counting on him to get 27 points, be the leading scorer in a game like that, especially a game 7, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that the Bucks. I mean, Giannis did everything he could. I think Brook Lopez in Game 7 today was pretty great. Holiday's going to do his stuff defensively, but offensively, he was a bit disappointing. But he had to step up, like you said, without Chris Middleton, and I think that was kind of the difference in the series because it gives Giannis someone else he can rely on offensively.
Does.
And
Otherwise, he just carried the whole team basically.
right, I think there was a stat early in the game. They had 26 first quarter points, and 24 of them were either scored or assisted by Giannis. So,
Yeah.
and they were winning at that point. But obviously, like you can't do that for a full game. Fatigue set in. You could see Giannis like he started missing bunnies in the second half because he was so tired. But yeah, I think for them it'll be a tough offseason because I mean they're the champs right now. Like they're the defending champs. But we'll see what happens with Boston. I think honestly that'll be a good series with them in Miami. I don't know. How do you think they fare with Miami?
That's gonna be tough. Miami, their defense was smothering, so it's gonna be real tough to get some shots up. But I mean, it's gonna be a lot of tough shots they're gonna be hitting. I feel like Celtics are gonna be hitting against the Heat.
Yeah,
It's gonna be hard.
and it's you're gonna see probably a lot of the same thing like as the Bucks series. Like for the Heat, like other than maybe I think Max Strus, Tyler Hero, maybe Victor Oladipo a little bit, but like they don't really have a ton of guys that are like seeking out the 3-point line. So you might see them like offensively play the same way in some regard to the Bucks. Meanwhile, the Celtics, like they're gonna take like a ton of threes. I think like over the season, like 55, like the 60% of their offense comes from the 3-point line. So like if they're hitting shots like Grant Williams today or Tatum was or who else was hitting? I think Derek White started hitting some late, like Jaylen Brown, like then they're gonna be tough to beat.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. I thought overall second round wasn't bad. At least there wasn't any sweeps. Every series went 6. The game 7s were disappointing, but it is what it is. But
It is.
now I was thinking about asking you just like maybe like five questions and then like a bonus question at the end here. So I guess we'll start off with the first question, which is in terms of the second round, who would you say would be like if there was obviously they just came out with this award thing, which I honestly think is stupid, but for conference finals, they're going to give out like a conference finals MVP thing, which I think that's kind of dumb. But I guess so.
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, they just came out with that, I think like yesterday or 2 days ago or something. But anyway, so second round just happened. If you had to give out one second round MVP for anyone, like based on how they played, like who do you think you'd give it to? You can be biased too. If you want to pick Luka, you can pick Luka.
I was just gonna pick Luca because I mean, I feel like I can't give it to a losing team.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to be a winning team,
Mm-hmm.
like a win, like at least a win or a winning person on a winning team that actually made it. So
Yeah, I think honestly, like if the Bucks won, I probably would have picked Giannis, but
yeah,
I
absolutely.
think it's just like, especially looking at how they played today, like in such a dominating fashion, it's hard to not give it to Luka. I will say that like I think maybe Jimmy Butler is going a little under the radar because he's been playing pretty good too, especially against
Oh
his
yeah,
like his former team in the Sixers. So it's like that's kind of like and winning in their house, like that's a little bit extra. I guess like firepower there, but yeah, I think Luka. I mean, statistically, he's been one of the best, if not the best player in the playoffs up to this point. I mean, last series against Utah, like he came off the injury and averaged 30 points, like instantly.
yeah.
So I would probably say, I guess as well, I would probably agree and say it was Luka. Okay, so the second question that I got for you is focused on the Sixers, primarily James Harden. What do you think about it? Do you think this might be like the end of Harden as we know it? Do you think maybe Harden is done for?
You know, it's a. I mean, it is true. He is no longer James Harden of the Rockets that we all knew and loved.
Well, new.
That shit might have sailed.
Not necessarily
Um,
loved, but you know.
well, I liked him. He wasn't could have been better, but I liked him. But
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like it's not exactly over. Okay, well, it's over for his Rocket days, but maybe a new age of James Harden can open up, and he can, also be that elite scorer that he is, but also be the playmaker as well, and not suck in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah, I think personally for me, I think that I mean he's still going to be like a high level player, but I wouldn't be surprised if he started molding into like a Chris Paul type. Like and I know Chris Paul was great most of the season. He just turned 37 and things went bad. Um but
Yeah,
yeah, and I'm not saying too. I wasn't saying like I hated James Harden from Houston. I'm just saying like his style of play, like a lot of people criticize. You know what I mean? But I will say, if James Harden, people have been saying like maybe he was injured again, like in this season. Maybe he never fully recovered from his injury last year. And if that is the case, and then maybe he needs a full off season like to get healthy, then maybe we'll see James Harden at a high level again. And maybe next year in the playoffs, it'll be a different story. The hard part for me is that like we've seen it so many times. We saw it against the Warriors when he was in Houston. There was a game. It was a game 6 without Kawhi Leonard in Houston, and they got blown out almost the same fashion the Suns did tonight, right? And he scored like 10 points. And obviously last year, like I know he was injured, but he wasn't very good for the Brooklyn Nets. So I don't know. It's tough for me to say that James Harden will come back next year. He'll still be the same player and be great in the playoffs, but I don't know, man. I think I wouldn't be surprised if he's not an all-star next year. Now, he could still be all-star caliber, and I wouldn't also be surprised if he just got in just because, well, his name's James Harden, you know? Like, I feel like that's
yeah.
still kind of why he got in this year. And now more people are starting to, like, spotlight it, especially with that Philly fan base kind of coming after him. I mean, we saw what happened with Ben Simmons, and he hasn't
Oh,
played.
geez.
He hasn't played since. So,
Yeah.
like, I'm not expecting James Harden to just sit out and not play again or whatever. Um, but what I will say is, like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's like this is like the end of him as we know it. He'll still be a starter in the league. He'll still be a contributor in the league. But I don't know if he can be that number 2 to Joel Embiid. Like, it just seems like Joel Embiid is the star on the team. Tyrese Maxey will be a star probably one day. And then the rest of the guys around him, like, they're just pieces. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
All right. So the third question I was thinking about asking you though is with the Grizzlies series, and it focuses on Dillon Brooks. Now you saw the play, I'm sure, and I saw the play where he smacked Gary Payton right in the head. A lot of people were saying it was a dirty play. He did get suspended for it for an extra game, and he even missed that whole game there. But what do you think? Do you think it was a dirty play? Do you think he's a dirty player? I get what do you think? Or do you think he's not a dirty player?
I mean, deep down, they're all dirty. Everyone in the NBA is a dirty player. Let's be honest. Let's be
Everyone
honest.
cheats
Yeah, everyone has that little moment of evil in them.
except D
But
Rose. But go ahead.
yeah, um, pretty play probably. It's the playoffs. It's gonna happen. People, uh, so yeah, dirty play. Uh, he had a hell of a game that last game though. I think
He did.
I was thinking of somebody else, but yeah, that was yeah,
It
that was him.
surprised me. It really surprised me.
I mean, he had to step up when Ja was not around, so
hmm So you are leaning more towards yes, and that everyone has a dirty side as well.
yeah. Mhm.
I mean, I think I don't. I honestly, I'm probably in the minority, but I don't know if it was as dirty a play as people think. I think, yes, he got him in the head, but I think the biggest thing is because Gary Payton injured until like the NBA Finals, that they decided that, okay, that's a pretty severe play. But part of that is just because of the way he landed on the ground. Like he landed and his arm was like extended. I think like if some fans might remember, like I think like Andrew Bogut did like the same thing like a decade ago or something, but or he landed like on his arm. But the point is like the way he landed was more the injury than like what Dillon Brooks did hitting him in the face. Right? Like he hit him in the
Yeah.
face and now he has an elbow fracture or something because of the way he landed. And I get it, like some people think he's responsible for that, but personally for me it's like I don't think he was trying to hit him, for that to happen. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it is what it is. He probably he does have a track record of some dirty plays. I don't know if that was a dirty play, but I kind of agree with you. A lot of guys are dirty players. I mean, Chris Paul is a dirty player, and he's the president of the Players Association. Like he's kind of like
Yeah.
the face of the players. So
And
like, but he makes dirty plays like that. So I don't know. That's my side of it. But all right. So the fourth question I got for you is with this Suns Mavericks series. We were speaking of Chris Paul. Um, people were saying how like Luka and Devin Booker kept talking back and forth. Do you
mhm.
think this will be a rivalry for years to come?
Ooh, young stars, 100%,
You
110%.
you think it
That's
will?
that's a rivalry right there.
Do you think? Okay, I will also ask you a little follow up question with that. Who do you think will be more successful in the rivalry in the long run? The Mavericks just got the best of Phoenix this time, but like, you think the Suns will have the edge? Do you think the Mavericks will keep prevailing? What do you think? You can be biased. You-
See, all right. I could be biased, but in the end, I feel like the Suns might get them just because they have a more profound like team built around Booker and CP3.
yeah, yeah,
Like they're built better.
I agree with that. I think
Like unless the Mavs can get just as built just as well as them in years to come, which they probably can, but unless that doesn't happen, then Suns will get them in
yeah,
the
I
end.
think I feel like personally, like in the long run, Dallas will probably get get Phoenix more than Phoenix will get them. I'm sure I will give the Phoenix like maybe some point in time they get the best of Dallas like in a head to head in the playoffs. But I mean, like you said, like Phoenix has like the more cohesive team. I think the biggest thing right now is why people are like upset with like they're kind of upset with them or like hating on them is because like Chris Paul's like the head of their team. He obviously has the most complete legacy of everyone in this matchup, and it's like he's getting older. He's not going to be around for most of that rivalry, right? Like he'll probably retire. So,
That's
but
true.
I mean, you still got Devin Booker, you still got Mikal Bridges, you still got if they bring back DeAndre Ayton and give him the money. So I think like that trio right there, Cam Johnson as well, like so they got kind of a more complete team with Luca. It seems like they're still trying to find it. You know what I mean? Like Jalen Brunson's been
Yeah.
nice. Spencer Dinwiddie's nice, but I don't know if he's a long term answer. Like I could see them like maybe flipping him some point down the line or something. But yeah, I do think it will be a rivalry. It was a rivalry after like Steve Nash left the Mavericks and then he went to the Suns and it was him and Dirk going at it for a few years. But I think it kind of might be like revived. Um, but yeah, I mean that's what I think. And then I will ask you the last question. Well, I do have a bonus question after this. The fifth
Okay.
question though is who do you think will win the championship? Like in your heart, who do you think will come out on top?
Oh man. See, I know I told you the Mavs,
You did. You told
but
me that was the team you wanted. Is that the team you think will go all the way?
I I no, I do not think so.
Okay. Who do you think?
I feel like a team that has a higher chance of going all the way is probably either Probably either the Heat or the Warriors.
Okay. And do you think if they matched up, who do you think would win?
Warriors.
Yeah. I think, I mean,
Can't Curry, you can't stop Curry.
I think like the odds had the Warriors as the favorite earlier today, like to win the championship from here on out. I think the likeliest scenario for me, I've been believing for a few weeks now, like whoever wins this Bucks Celtics series is going to go all the way, because I think Chris Middleton, he's going to be back before the finals, and if they lose, I just think the Celtics have a complete team. Like I'm sure you saw the way that they handled Kevin Durant, like in the last round, like
Oh yeah.
probably guarded him better than anyone ever has in Kevin Durant's career. Um, but I don't know. I think personally, I think the Celtics will go all the way. I think it's likelier that the Warriors. I mean, I don't know. Like the Mavericks beat the Warriors 3 or 4 times this year. Like so,
It did.
they could surprise them, but I guess it's likelier to bet on the Warriors beating them. I would bet on the Celtics beating the Heat, and then I don't know. I just think the Celtics, like ever since they started the year off terribly, I think they were under 500. They were worse than the Lakers halfway through the year, and the Lakers were an embarrassment by the end, right? So, like
Horrible.
the fact that they're now up here, I think that they have a chip on their shoulder, unlike anybody else. So, I think the Celtics will probably come out on top. But yeah, so I will ask you now the bonus question, because a lot of people are talking about it being Giannis. Some people talk about Curry. There's still LeBron fans out there. There's still Kevin Durant fans out there. But at this point in time, like in the modern NBA, not like, I guess, like right now necessarily, but, in the modern NBA, who is the best player in the NBA? Like when everyone's playing.
Man, that is that's a hard question.
It is hard. I mean, a lot of people are saying KD and Giannis, they're both out now, Jokic was a back-to-back
Yeah.
MVP. He's eliminated. Could say Curry, his team is pretty insane, though. Pretty well-rounded,
Oh yeah.
so. Could be Luka. What do you think?
Man. I mean, that's tough. Like I'm thinking of every star player right now on each team.
Or do you think maybe there is no best player and that there's too many good players?
There's a lot of good players. I couldn't really pick one.
Wow.
I feel like they're all really good.
That is fair. I feel like this is like the most I've ever been confused with this, and that's why I wanted to ask this question. Um,
Yeah.
and this is why I think I would have to lean. Like the only guy I could lean on is a guy who generally always performs in the playoffs, outside of one half in a bubble. Um, he obviously didn't play at all this year, but his game is so well rounded. I think it still is Kawhi Leonard. If he comes back 100%, I don't know if anyone is necessarily better than him. And that's why I think next year, like, it would set up for the Clippers to be in perfect position to potentially go all the way, because they haven't yet, right? So
Yeah.
I would probably say Kawhi, if he comes back 100%. Like, if he doesn't, then I'm really lost, because, like, I would probably say it would still be Giannis, but, again, like, obviously not even getting to the finals this year. I get it, Middleton was out, but the conversation's hard. I think we agree on that.
Definitely.
But yeah, so that's basically all the questions I wanted to ask you. I'm glad we got to recap the second round collab, but that's basically gonna do it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching. You got any final thoughts here before we close out?
Um, let's go Mavs. I don't know.
Let's go Mavs. Hey, I that would be cool to see. You could get a Mavericks Heat finals for the first time since 2011, and I think the third time ever. So that
Yeah,
would be pretty elite.
it would be.
But yeah, I'll have down below to check description so you guys will know where to find my man at. But yeah, again, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we're out. Peace.